So the videos yesterday were all about a management system. So you have to, every food service outlet should have a food management system. And basically it's procedures, practices and procedures. Talked to you yesterday a little bit about Doncaster. I had to have the health department wanted to see in writing all my procedures. What was your procedure for calibrating thermometers? What was your procedure for checking the system, the temperatures on food? They wanted to see that it was all documented in a 3-ring binder and in the office. And none of that means anything if it's not being enforced. So just because you have a policy and a procedure doesn't mean that it's a good thing. It just means you wrote something down. You have to have it, it has to actively work. And essentially what you're doing is you're putting systems in place to ensure that nobody's going to get sick based on how you're handling the food. And that's where the HACCP, hazard analysis critical control point comes in. Okay. The food program should have personal hygiene, which I'm talking to you guys all about personal hygiene, washing your hands, wearing a clean uniform, all the things, that not sneezing into the food and sneezing into your elbow. Talked about the vendors, got to make sure it's a reputable vendor, that they meet all the standards, they meet all the guidelines. Sanitation and pest control programs. So you want to make sure that your dishwasher is working the proper way, that you have the sanitizer, that you have all the chemicals you're supposed to have, and that you're using them correctly. And then we have this guy like here, this pest guy that walks around our building, double checking, making sure everything is the way it's supposed to be. And then we have maintenance during the summertime. They will clean out all the coolers and they'll take all the compressors and clean those. Maintenance, make sure your place go better. And then food safety training program, which we're doing right now. So every food service outlet should have these things in place. They should have it documented. They should have, in services, which is basically trainings to make sure that all the staff knows what they're doing. All right. The CDC's 5 most common risks in food, we've already been through this, is purchasing from an unsafe source. So you can't buy from somebody off the street. Failing to cook food to an adequate temperature, internal temperature, holding the food at incorrect temperatures, whether it's too warm or it's too cold, depending on if it's a hot food or a cold food. Using contaminated equipment, so you have something that's all rusted, you should throw it away, but you don't because it'll cost you money. And then practicing poor hygiene, so you don't wash your hands, you sneeze and you don't wash your hands, you take out garbage, you don't do that, you wear duty uniforms. All the things that we talked about already. All right. Steps to controlling. You got to consider the five risk factors to the flow of food in the operation. And essentially that's where it comes in for you. So you do the HACCP thing. All right. So you do the analysis, right? You do the study, you check and see where the thing is, right? You are going to put in policies and procedures, and like I said, it's only as good as the person who's enforcing it. So you want to put steps in place to determine that the policies and procedures are being followed. I didn't show you guys this the other day. Let me see if I can pull it up. There's me, and it's taking a little bit of time. All photos. There we go. What I want to show you guys is a temperature log. All right. So this right here is a temperature log. Hard for you guys to make it out in there. But what it has on the temperature log is, let me go back to my drive here. All right, so you can see here's a temperature log. On the top of it, it just says Carrier-Tech, stop it. It just says Carrier-Tech temperature log, and it says freezers must be at 0 or below. The refrigerators must be at 41 or below. If not, report to chef. So you would monitor the temperatures of the refrigerators, right? Every refrigerator would have one of these. In the last school I was at, I really didn't. Chef M runs the store, our school. He's our department head, so it's his gig, his call. You can see on the bottom where you have the sheets. I would just make this one the walk-in cooler, and then create another one, and then I would call it the walk-in freezer. Create another one, and it'd be the a la carte, or the Chef M side walk-in cooler, Chef M size walk-in freezer, and every refrigerator in the place would have one of these. And then what you would have to do is I put the date in there, so May 2020. I would in the office type this up, and then I would go through and say, okay, beginning of May, the first was a Friday. These are Saturday, Sunday, next two Saturday, Sundays. Any holidays, I would also put it in there, because I discovered that, especially in the school situation, somebody would come in, they would fill in this one. If I didn't put Saturday and Sunday in there, they would just fill in the next one, and it wouldn't be the proper date. But it's pretty simple. The date is already there. You put the time you're doing it, the temperature it is, and then there's corrective action. So right before we had school closed down, the freezer on the faculty range side went down. Nothing was in the danger zone. Chef M doesn't keep a temperature log like this, but he was able to feel the stuff in the freezer and feel that it wasn't actually frozen solid. So his corrective action was to remove everything from the freezer and put it into the cafeteria side. I'm not sure if you guys were in shop when this happened or not, but if you were, you probably had to help out, loading everything up on the carts and then packing it into my side, into the cafeteria side. We had the people come in from the company, they replaced the compressor. We had a run over the weekend. So this all happened like on a Thursday. They completed the work on a Friday. We let it run over the weekend, so we knew it was working, and then we replaced everything on Monday. That's where you write the corrective action. A couple of things you have to look out for, and this is where I was going with these photos. This is what it should look like. So a person came in 9:58 a.m. and it was 39 degrees. No corrective action needs to be taken. Saturday, Sunday, 7 a.m., 12:15, 10:10, 10, all different times. And also you can see there's different pens. So it was obviously not done by the same person every day. One of the red flags that the health department points out is if they see something like this. So today is the 12th, right? So let's say they walked in and it's the 12th and they see 9 a.m. on this, 40 degrees on this. That means that the person who took those temperatures knew what it's supposed to say and made sure that they just filled it all in to make their life easy. That's a total no-no. When you are doing when you're doing your inspection as the manager, when you're this dude right here, and he's supposed to be monitoring what's going on, that's your job to monitor, to make sure that people are doing the things the right way. Like I said, it does you no good if you put the policy and procedure in place and it's not being done the proper way. All right. Verify. So that's just what I was just talking about a second ago. You verify that the tasks are being done the right way. Just because you put the system in place doesn't mean that it's being done properly. I talked to you about Doncaster, how we had different units. Every unit was named after a different tree. So there was birch and elm and cherry and all these different trees. And every unit had a refrigerator. And so somebody had to take the temperature of those refrigerators and those freezers every day. My job was to go and look for things like I just pointed out to you, where it was all the same every day. And also to verify that they were actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. If you don't verify it, if you don't check the temperature logs, if you don't check to make sure people are cooking things to the proper temperatures, again, it's all just paperwork unless you're actually enforcing it. All right, so HACCP, Hazard Analysis Critical Control. So we've been through this before. Hazard is an issue, something that's a problem, something that's dangerous. Analysis is a study. Critical means it's important. And then the critical control point. So essentially, you do a study to find out where all the areas that could cause problems, all the critical areas. And then when you're doing that study, you want to make sure that you don't forget about the biological and chemical hazards as well. You have to make sure you do all three aspects of what can contaminate your food. And the whole purpose of it is prevents food from getting contaminated and making somebody sick. So the 7 steps are as follows, and then we went over those on the videos yesterday. All right, so you have to do an analysis. Is it labeled? No, it's not. Okay. All right. So the first thing to do is to do the study, find out where all the issues are, and you identify what you have to do to prevent or eliminate or reduce the issues to a safe level. All right. This is the problem that I have with this slide right here is the problem I have with HACCP in a regular restaurant, or at least in our restaurants, because we change our menu every day. So if you had the same menu, let's say you're Kentucky Fried Chicken, and their menu is kind of limited, you only have fried chicken and fried items. It'd be pretty simple to take your recipes, take your menu, and go through everything and pinpoint, do a study of it, and pinpoint where the CCPs, the critical control points are. With our menu changing every day, it would be almost impossible for us to do that. So essentially, we need to monitor the equipment, the processes, and that's kind of where Chef M comes in, where he watches and makes sure everybody's doing things the right way. But that's for the HACCP plan, as far as the temperature logs, as far as the cook-to temperatures, all those things could be implemented. All right, so the first step is to conduct a hazard analysis. Second one is to determine the critical control points, the CCPs. Next one is establish critical limits. So you have to figure out exactly where the limits are. So, simple, easy thing for us to do is the refrigerator, just like I showed you in that thing, the critical limits, right? For this right here, it's written right on it. Freezers have to be above zero, below zero, and the refrigerators have to be below 40 degrees. It's pretty simple to see that that's the critical limits. If you find that the freezer is above zero and things are defrosting, then you have to make some actions. If you find the refrigerator itself is above 40 degrees, let's say it's 45, 50 degrees, then you have to take action to fix things. All right. Establish monitoring procedures. It does you no good whatsoever to say, yep, all of our refrigerators are going to be below 40 degrees and then not monitor it. You need to put some kind of logs in place, or like Lynn has a log that she will record the temperature we cooked everything to, and then the temperature that we held everything at. Identify corrective action. Again, it says right in that form, corrective action, and it says what to do. Contact the chef. I'll know what to do how to fix it. Or if I can't fix it, I'll bring somebody who can. But that's a corrective action. You identify what they're supposed to do. Verify the system is working. So again, as the manager, as the food service director, as the chef, I'm going to go and make sure that you are actually, taking the temperatures of the refrigerators, taking the temperatures of the food, and documenting everything. And then record keeping. I know I told you guys about September 11th and how a guy got sick. When the health department came in there, I had everything. I had my 2-ounce samples of all the food that we served that I hold for 90 days. I had my temperature logs of what it was cooked to, what it was held at, what it was served at. I had my refrigerator logs. I had my logs that, when I'm cooling something down, where it started and what time it was and at what temperature it got down to and how long that took. I had all my documentation. I opened the drawer and I said to the guy, what do you want to see? And that is basically, it's CYA, cover your assets. Just make sure that everything, there's no sense in putting the system in place and not verifying that it actually works and not keeping records on that.